Warning: bad or taboo language.
Possibly.
Cool. Recording in progress.
There you go.
Hello.
Hello.
It does say it's recording.
It is. It definitely is. She told me.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. You
Season,
right?
yes. Season 1, episode 6 of the Woo Woo Weirdo Club. Thank you, anybody who's,
I'm on episode 6.
yeah. Thank you, anybody who is watching, anybody who's still watching, anybody who's about to watch. We really appreciate it. Um, Feel free to comment.
I second that. Oh, them. Comment below.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking to me then. I was like, oh, sorry. I was distracted already.
Oh, you feel free to comment too. So, what should we talk about today? I think peace
Peace, man. Peace.
and paying attention.
Paying attention is pivotal. Awareness is pivotal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He
So,
says, looking at his phone. Yeah, make sure you're aware. Whatever you do, make sure you're aware.
pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a nice synchronicity again over the weekend, didn't we?
Yes.
Inadvertently, you commented in the free man group because on reflection to a video that I posted of me sitting in a very cold tank of water for weird reasons, but yeah. And then
That was your Wim Hof.
uh, yeah, it
Thing.
wasn't a Wim Hof thingy.
Oh,
That's in a couple of weeks. That's in a couple of weeks. It's actually sold out already, actually. So I was going to put it in the free man community, but when I looked, it actually sold out. So, but there's another strange synchronicity that happened there, um, off the back of that. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, just funny
is
synchronicities.
that
They just
not
keep
something
popping
you
up.
want to
They
talk
just.
about?
I mean, I can do. It's just all right. Let's talk three synchronicities. They're only small. They're only small, completely random, not connected to each other. But so my car's due for an MOT, and I knew it was coming up, but I didn't realize how soon it was coming up. It's actually due this Saturday, which I was urged. I was like, oh, hang on. So Saturday just gone. I was like thinking about who can I contact, and I know a guy that I used to teach yoga to on a one-to-one basis. He owns a garage. So I dropped him a message and said help, but he was out anyway. He was busy, but I phoned the garage. I got in contact. I thought I'll go the back door, like sometimes it's who you know rather than you know. And I've not used him for a few years. I've not seen him for 3 years or something like that. It must be 3 years easy. No, it's 5 years. 5 years I've not seen him, not spoke to him, not seen him, nothing. Um, but called the garage, texted him first to see if I could, pull a few strings, but then I just phoned the garage. Anyway, it got booked in, not a problem, through the bloke in the garage. And then he got back to me saying he'd been at a birthday party. And I said, well, maybe see you at the garage on Friday when I drop the car off or pick it up or whatever. And he said, well, maybe, maybe not. But a little birdie tells me that you're booked into a Wim Hof day day retreat in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be there, so I'll see you there. I was like, how the hell do you know I'm going to be there for starters? But there's obviously walls talk, don't they? Walls talk, internet talks, and stuff like that. So small synchronicity. I've not spoke to the guy for 5 years. It happened that I called his garage, wanted to get in contact with him for an MOT. Turns out we're going to see each other in a
Who's
couple of
going?
weeks, and we're going to plunge in a pool together. So that was just a random synchronicity. Loosely connected to the synchronicity. It was more my post, wasn't it, about being present and connecting and finding peace in the
Peace.
water. Because the first time I got in the water, I couldn't hack it. Like, it was the longest minute of my life. It was just like, what? And then I bailed out about 40 seconds after that. But the second time I got in, first 30 seconds, I was just like, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to shut my eyes. And I just dropped into it. Four
Breathe.
minutes later, I managed to get out. the last 30 seconds, I could really feel my toes going. But yeah, just really dropped into the body. I wasn't fearful about what was going on. I just experienced it, whole body, water, environment, sounds around me, just really just a nice meditative state. Just completely lost myself in the moment with no attachment to it. I could feel cold, I could feel peace, I could hear the birds, I could hear noise around, background conversation. Just lost myself in that little space. Like I say, my class is a little space between spaces, and so kind of dropped into that little bubble, which was really nice. And then your message from a QHHT was to be aware and
Pay
seek
attention.
peace. Pay attention. Pay attention. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yes, so from some QHHT sessions that I was doing and having done to me, one of a couple of pieces of information from the higher came through. One was about finding peace in the depths of despair. Slightly different language used, actually, but
Mm,
I'm going to translate the language. I have to be very careful regarding confidentiality.
hmm
Um, but the broad strokes of some information was one of the challenges in life. This was information for an individual, but I think it also applies to anybody. One of the challenges of life is, yes, to feel the emotions, yes, to feel the feelings, but once you decide to feel emotions and feelings, be prepared.
mm,
You probably feel everything. And most people think that we have to feel good all the time or feel happy all the time or feel in a high vibration all the time. To go back to the last episode that we did about
yeah.
different vibrational frequencies or moods or emotions or feelings or whatever it is. Um, so I was questioning around, well, what are we trying to do? Achieve happiness? No, that's just another emotion, just like sadness is an emotion. And we have to work on ourselves so that we can recognize that we're feeling emotional, feeling feelings and let them move. Energy and motion, for example. And when emotions get stuck, that's usually a difficult place for an individual and causes problems. So don't suppress emotions, don't repress emotions or feelings.
Mm,
Pay attention to them.
yeah,
Allow them to move and move through, but don't hang on to them, don't identify with them. It's linked to what we were talking about a week ago.
yeah,
This
yeah.
was not coming, I don't believe this individual had watched that episode, and I
Mhm.
don't believe that I programmed this
Yeah.
subliminally or otherwise. So it's interesting. And then I say, well, if we're not trying to achieve happiness because it's just another emotion, what are we trying to achieve? Peace.
Mm,
Peace. How do we achieve peace? And I was like putting some of my um, programming on it, saying, well, do we sit with it? The despair, for example, we want to take the example of being in despair.
mm,
Sit with it. No, it's about surrender. And of course, this comes up a lot in yoga, certainly in your classes and in the classes of others that I've been in. Surrender is Eckhart Tolle, for example.
mm,
Surrender is a potentially useful state of being. So that was that was coming through for me on Friday.
mm.
You were in your ice bath on
Friday.
Friday.
Friday
You
night.
posted on
Saturday, I
Sun-
think that was.
no,
Yeah.
because I was away on Saturday on Sunday. Or you might
hmm
have posted on Saturday, but I only saw the post. Well, I might have seen it. To be honest, I'm lost now. It could be Saturday, the next day, or a day
Time's not
after.
linear anyway, doesn't it? Time's not real anyway, is it?
No.
So,
So you send a post about being in an ice bucket finding peace. I'm doing this on the Friday. I'm doing the session or sessions on Friday, and this message is coming through.
mm,
So I'm thinking, that's a synchronicity. What do I need to learn from that? One of the things I need to learn from that is life can be crap. Life can be uncomfortable. Life will give you situations that are not the paradigm of happiness or sadness.
mm,
Surrender to them, allow
yeah.
them to move, thereby finding peace. We can also employ techniques such as breathing, like you're talking about at the moment in the Freeman community and school, control of the breath, regulate the nervous system, for example, something that none of us do enough of. But then the other thing was that I posted that you thought was quite broad, and I understood your comment about it being broad, and if there's so much going on that you've been, slightly struggling with it because of everything going on in the world. And the second message was pay attention, and this was
Mm,
prior to me. It
yeah.
wasn't coming through I don't believe it came through in anybody's sessions. And you thought it was broad, but to be fair to you, because it was in like a two-line, um,
It was in reference to my Instagram post, wasn't it, as well? So yeah, yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
which was what? Remind me. I
It
wasn't
was
paying
about
attention.
an unsettling in the Middle East in a
Oh
certain
yeah,
area.
Gary Lineker.
Yeah.
Well, just like Gary Lineker should arguably stay out of politics, how about for this podcast we stay out of politics?
But
Um,
absolutely stay out of
yeah.
politics. Yeah. This
I
is
know
nothing to do with it. Yeah.
there was a little bit of judgment there about Gary Lineker, but I've heard his name now a little bit too
Mm.
much over the last week, and everybody who I've
Oh,
spoken to, yeah, actually,
I've not seen anything of him at all for a while, but I'm not plugged into anything. So
no, me neither. But
yeah.
and one of the ways I get information about what's going on in the world is I talk to people that I interact with, and it is actually one of the reasons I play golf and so much golf,
Hmm.
which I know, puzzles people in a number of ways. But I very rarely play golf on my own now, so I spend 4 hours, 3 hours with people. We talk, so I
You're
tend
up
to
on
ask
current
them.
affairs,
"Hmm?
vicariously up on current affairs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you know what? Everything is filtered anyway.
Yeah.
Think about Instagram, YouTube,
Yeah.
like what other people call the mainstream media. Why is YouTube not the mainstream media? This is sometimes it's a oh, we're gonna digress onto something here because I see a lot of people. There's a guy that walks the dogs who's talking about I don't watch mainstream media anymore, just watch YouTube. And I'm like, but who owns YouTube?
Yeah.
I'm not dissing YouTube, I'm not dissing the guy, I'm not dissing the
Yeah.
mainstream media. I'm just saying
It's
everything's
all
filtered.
controlled.
Yeah,
It is.
right. Mainstream media, the BBC News, for example, or the ITV News, or the Channel 4 News, or the GB News, any single news organization umbrella
Yeah.
program goes through an editorial process where
Hmm.
it gets edited, and what you see is the top of the pyramid,
Yeah.
and that's gone through a filter.
Yeah.
So is YouTube, it's called an algorithm.
Hmm.
So is
And
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah. Facebook. All of it. Yeah.
So is this
Mm.
conversation now. We are going through the filters of our own mind,
Hmm.
our own experience. Everything goes through filters. So I
Yeah.
figure, why not ask ordinary people that I interact with what they think or what they know?
Yeah.
They will apply their filters, but they'll be filtering out some of the filtered stuff, if
Hmm.
that makes sense. And I might get more sense out of it. So anyway, I'm digressing somewhat, but
Yeah.
yeah, the pay attention wasn't in relation to that post regarding Israel, Palestine, Gary Lineker, anti-Semitism, or whatever. It was just about the message for me and that I want to pass on is was around pay attention to your emotions, your feelings, your intuition, most importantly. And I can't go into any details, and I don't want to go into any details. Um, but what I will say is when you start to pay attention,
Mm.
there's a lot of information, a lot of wisdom that will come through
Yeah.
for
But
you.
yeah. I think we touched on this last week as well, wasn't it? Or the week before, about my review from the QHHT that I had with you, and
Mm,
it made me see. I don't think I actually said it in the video that I was talking about it, but I said it in the review. It made me see how much through my teaching of yoga, and it comes up when you're giving people advice as well. Sometimes when you give people advice, you sit there and you're like, "Oh, hang on, that's not for them, that's for me."
mhm,
So you get that channel and that person's been put in front of you for you to give them advice. And if you're aware enough, if you're conscious enough and you're observing enough, then you can realize that that advice, that person's been put there for you to, as a mirror, for you to listen to your own advice or get advice of them. And that's what the QHHT session did in part for me as well as other stuff. But it made me realize that when I'm teaching yoga and I'm uh, channeling words and stuff out to you guys, whoever's there, then a lot of that is stuff that I need to be listening to as well. And it's like that's kind of really highlighted that from the QHHT. I was like, I'm a lot more in tune with direct source than what I give myself credit for a lot of the time,
Are we
which is a
all?
nice thing. Exactly, yeah, aren't we all? But we're normally too blinkered or too filtered to feel it and see it ourselves. And it's come
Got
up
it.
in a networking meeting I was at this morning as well. It's just starting to learn to trust your intuition and trust your gut and
Mm.
your heart and stuff like that with that awareness. Yeah,
Mm. And the more you do it, the better you get at it.
yeah.
And what was it? I think it was even in the last episode we were talking about. No, it was the very first one. Um, well, you were talking more about your fears about doing this than I was because I did a master. I watched it yesterday for some reason. I did a masterful job of deflecting because you were talking about oh, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable, feeling some fear about this. And oh, why? And you explained why it's about being seen and all that. And you're like, how about you? And I've deflected it. Um,
Not like used to.
no, very elegantly. Very elegantly, I feel. Um, so I was getting a lot of information about various things, but also about pay attention, but not in this broad sense of like, I think you took it as,
Yeah, I took it onto that.
pay
Yeah,
attention to what's going on in the world. No, it's actually closer to home.
yeah.
It's like when you get the goosebumps, it might
Hmm.
just be because you're cold. Oh, you sat in an ice bath on a Wim Hof
I,
night.
it
That's
was beyond goosebumps. It was beyond
Yeah.
goosebumps. But yeah,
Definitely, like, sometimes could just be a physiological reason, but
it could.
more often than not, if you start, somebody, I think it's Julia Cannon, the daughter of Dolores Cannon, calls them truth bumps, which
Hmm.
I think has quite a nice ring to it, actually. And
Yeah.
somebody
It
says
holds a
something, you
certain frequency, isn't it? And you can find that frequency in the patterns of the hieroglyph. This is where my mate Jez would be on fire. He'd be able to tell you everything about it. But it's a certain frequencies. He's gonna mock me for not knowing the frequency off my top of my head. But it's a certain frequency, and it's actually in the hieroglyphs on the Egyptian hieroglyphs in the pyramids and stuff like that. The symbol of it, when you get the vibrating plates and you do the frequencies and the sound, whatever that I can't remember what that's
if
called,
you
but
put
the
sand or rice on, and then, yeah,
sand on rice and
it
it
will make a
creates that
pattern.
shape.
Hmm.
They're pinned on the hieroglyphs and stuff like that, and
Oh,
that's the
okay.
frequency that we get when we get goosebumps. That's the frequency. That's our frequency shifting into synchronicity, into divine consciousness and stuff like that. Jez, comment because I know you watch, so you can comment and tell me what frequency. I'm sure it's something to do with 47, 140, no, 1447. It's something to do with 47. Um, but yeah, 1401,
Also,
447, I think.
there's a theory, isn't there, that
Hertz.
there's a theory that the musical scale, the tuning of instruments, got changed by one of those big ruling families.
Mm,
The name temporarily escapes me. And
yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah, so any
yeah,
music produced nowadays is at a different frequency, isn't it?
it's like
Yeah,
either it's now at 430 hertz instead of 440, or the other way around
yeah,
for one of the
yeah,
middle notes. Perhaps again, somebody could comment and um,
yeah.
remind us of that. Um, But I haven't actually looked into that much about, the change in the tuning and how it's supposed to. It
No,
just keeps flashing up from time to
I
time.
don't listen to modern music, so I don't really need to.
Well, I go through phases.
Yeah.
Well, only when you've got music on in the yoga class, I guess. So, I mean, th this was these are some of the connections or synchronicities that were just occurring.
Mm,
Um, I think the one about peace and surrender, and it is quite interesting because it definitely at the time you were surrendering to the peace in the ice bath for a few minutes.
mm,
It's not far off when this was coming through. Were you in the morning or the afternoon?
evening.
What time in the evening, roughly?
8:30. No,
Oh,
8,
right. No, this was
half 8, half 8.
this
Okay.
was a few hours earlier than that, but within late after mid afternoon to early evening. Um, and I was traveling at half 8-ish, maybe 9. So it can't have been exact. It's not exactly.
No, exactly. Well, we're not perfect, are we? And
No,
time's
but
not linear, so
pardon?
and time's not linear, so
No, I know. Well, yeah. So it's just fascinating that this
yeah, it's
surrender and
interesting.
peace,
Mm.
and then you're doing the same thing. It's like
Yet again,
it came
yet
up.
again.
It came up again in a different session about not related to peace, but about the surrender. I mean, I was
You're
taught
the
to
man of
surrender.
many faces, Steve. You're the man of many faces.
Am I?
Yeah,
Why do you say that?
this is a different pair of glasses to the start. Are you
Oh,
trying?
is
Are you
it?
trying to confuse me?
Is it? So how long have we been on?
I
How
don't
long have
know.
we gone? We've got 16 minutes left. So have we been on for
I
like,
didn't even notice you took the other pair of glasses on, but off. But I just saw you put them on, and I was like, "Hang on, they're different. They're
any
different."
idea why?
I don't know. Some of the bifocals. What you're looking at? Were you trying to read something?
Oh, it's more
Not
simple.
quite
It's more
different.
simple. It's more simple and more childish than that. But it's not
Go
really
on.
childish. It is simple though. What has been
What is
one
it?
of the themes that we've been talking about?
Awareness,
Almost.
observation. Go on.
Sort of. What were the two words?
Peace.
That's one. But then there's another two words that have been mentioned a
Pay
few.
attention.
Pay attention.
Pay attention. So you're testing me,
Not testing you. I'm just
testing the audience.
I've been
You
changing
got
them
to watch him.
every
You got to watch him, people. You got to watch him.
I've been changing them every few seconds. I was wondering
There you go.
whether I was
Whether
wondering
we'd
whether
clock it, whether I'd clock it, yeah.
Alan,
Whether I'd clock it or not. There you go. There you go. Got there in the end, 25 minutes in or 16 minutes in.
I think you've done well when you
There you go.
weren't told.
Huh? He's playing
Um,
me. He's playing me.
having fun.
Having fun, of
Having fun
course.
to make a
It's all
point,
good.
I guess.
It's all good fun. Yeah,
So like we don't pay attention, do we? So
we don't pay attention.
and because we don't pay attention, we don't perceive everything that we could possibly perceive, apart from the
Hmm.
fact that we've got limitations.
It's interesting because I said it right at the start as well, didn't I? No, no, you said it but right at the start. You gave me a clue at the start
I've said it a
because you
number
said
of
I don't know
times.
whether to wear my glasses or not. Mm.
So apart from the fact that I've just destroyed any trust and confidence that we had in each other,
I
there
didn't
is a
say to you,
serious
right?
point behind this.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't pay attention.
Mm,
We don't. We're humans,
yeah.
or
Mm,
we're energy beings having a human experience, or we're light beings having a human experience, or we're a soul having a human experience, or simply we're just human beings.
mm.
One day when we die, all of this will be
So
revealed.
many distractions. Yeah,
Huh?
so many filters. So many distractions, so many filters. And it's a Gemini new moon as well, which is all about information gathering as well. So it's an interesting time for you to be
Pay
talking about paying
attention.
attention.
Mhm.
But
So
also don't get lost in information as well. That's part of it as well, because it's easy to get lost in information. So it's not just, paying attention and absorbing and absorbing and absorbing. It's processing as well, isn't it? You need to process and do your own filters, internal filters about the information that you're absorbing. You know, observe, don't absorb, absorb as well.
yeah, so um it's very difficult because there's things I want to talk about. I don't feel like I can, but it's like to try
Mm,
to explain this. It would be easy if I did, but I can't really.
mm, mm,
So I'll try to just give some generalistic stuff. Um, so if we've just established in the first like whatever minutes of this thing that actually it's quite hard to pay attention.
mm.
it's also hard to pay attention to yourself,
Hmm.
um, because we have what do we have? We have the id, the unconscious kind of part of our mind, the ego, the conscious part of our mind, the superego, the critical part of our mind, if we believe that kind of psychoanalysis. Um, but we spend so much time in our minds because that's how we're brought up, and that's because how we perceive most of the world, that we forget that we have a body, for example, and that the body's communicating with us all the time through cues to us, through pain, through goosebumps, and doing things like you're talking about going in an ice bath, I think and yoga, for example, and even golf to a degree, are all fantastic methodologies for getting in touch with the body
Mm.
and then learning to understand what it is that the body's trying to tell us at any point of time, any point in time. So you go into an area, you drive into an area, and all of a sudden you feel things constrict. Your throat constricts. Why? Could be an allergen in the air. You might, it might be a lot of pollen in the air that you've got hay fever for. You might just be having a cough attack, or a viral infection coming on or something. But if this happens, you should pay attention to it. It might be telling you
Mm.
something. And even if it's
Yeah.
about pollen in the air, it's still telling you something, right?
Mm. Yeah. It
So,
is.
but can you
Even a cough.
feel,
Yeah.
pardon?
Yeah. Go on. Yeah.
So the trick is, or the growth and the learning is, can you feel the throat constrict when it constricts? Can you then link it to something that is happening, not happening, maybe happening, about to happen, or information, or can you link it to a physiological response to a fairly standard thing like an allergen in the air?
Mm.
How often do you actually pay attention to these signs coming from your body? Um, I
I
was
had this
watched. Hmm?
very chat with a guy today, who was talking about how, like, so he's not getting enough sleep. And he told me he's not getting enough sleep because he feels tired all the time. But as a response to not getting enough sleep, he wants to wear a device which monitors his sleep so that the device can tell him that he's not getting enough sleep. And I was like, but you know you're not getting enough sleep because you just told me you're not getting enough sleep because you're knackered. And it's like, yeah, but the information from the device will then give me factual data for me to observe and process that then I can take action on. And I'm like, but you're missing the one thing that's already told you all of that information and you're sitting in it right now. Like, but it's it. And this is where we're at in society. People are always looking outside of themselves for that information, whether it be through technology or whether it be through some guru or some health professional or dietitian or fitness expert. They're always externalizing what they think will make them feel better. And I had this conversation again at a network meeting I had with the Yorkshire Wellness. Can't remember the setup, but yeah. Um, and it's just people are just looking outside of themselves all the time, and it's all the answers are somewhere here, here, here through the body, like you said. You can get a tight throat sometimes when you've had a sore throat, and it's like, well, I've got no other symptoms other than a sore throat. Why have I got a sore throat? And you drop into yourself, and you might be kidding yourself about something. You might be lying to yourself about something, convincing yourself that maybe you're not good enough to do something, or there might be something that you need to say to somebody. I've experienced it, and then once you let it out and go, the sore throat goes. So exactly like your throat tightening up, it can be an expression, communication issue. So, but we tend to, even when we know it, like this guy knew full well he's not getting enough sleep. He's staying up late. He's getting up early. He knows he's tired. He knows he's exhausted. He knows why. He still wants to externalize it and put a device on his wrist so it can tell him what he already knows. Um, it's interesting where we're at in
A few
society.
things coming up from there, if I'm not interrupting.
Okay.
I think it felt like you were just coming to the end of that. So there's a few things he's given away. He's given,
Got my
I
eye on you
really thought
now.
such a kid. I'm such a child. I actually can't see through those glasses. And they're very uncomfortable. I don't like the way they look.
I
And
was saying to you at the start that I need glasses as well. So,
possibly. What are you not seeing?
I definitely do. I definitely
What are
do.
you not seeing? What are you not allowing yourself to see? Anyway,
Yeah.
a few things coming out of that little exchange. One, we are going to be starting to run out of time, but one, I think, like, let's not criticize somebody for wanting to have data and information. So there's no judgment here, right? That's what we're saying.
No,
No judgment.
it's always observation, always awareness.
Yeah. But aren't you giving away your own agency by putting your own health in the hands of a device or somebody else?
Mm, yeah.
So what was going through my head, I mean, I've seen this before. I've like had it was like a long time ago. I think it was an iPod, and you could download a sleep app, and you stuck it by your pillow, and it would
Mm,
tell you how much period of deep sleep you were in and all of that. And I'd look at it and I'd get a bit anxious about the fact that I wasn't getting a lot of deep sleep. Guess what? I ended up
mm.
not sleeping again. So
Because
it's like, and then it's like, what is the data that you're looking for that's going to solve this problem?
mm,
What is it, right? So
yeah,
I don't understand how the data necessarily helps you unless it's like if I go to sleep at 7 p.m. I will have a better night's sleep than I go to sleep at 10 p.m. But you're not
mm,
going to do that immediately. It's going to take a lot of data to work that one out, and it might not even
yeah.
be true. So so what is it? I mean, what does how does the data help? But that leads on to sort of like this point that we have science has become the new religion almost. We have a lot of
Absolutely.
faith in science and the scientific
Hmm.
method. And I'm not dissing science. I'm not really dissing religion at all. But both of them really, to a large degree, rely upon faith and belief.
Yeah.
Like this belief or this faith that wearing a watch that monitors your sleep pattern is going to help you sleep better. Seems to me
Mm,
that that's not that far away from saying if you pray to God tonight for a good night's sleep, you're going to have a better night's sleep,
mm,
right? But on the other hand, if having this watch on helps him to sleep better, or an Oura ring or whatever you've got now helps you to sleep better, fine.
mm.
Probably won't though, because over
No,
time it'll create anxiety when you see that the patterns. What do you do like when the pattern changes, for good or bad?
yeah.
What are you going to do?
Mm,
You're going to go into anxiety, aren't you? So I just
yeah.
don't understand. I actually don't understand it
It's
anymore.
yeah. It's just interesting observations, isn't it? I
Mm.
remember there was a photo shoot somewhere, and it was about people again. I mean, I've got one. I've got one that measures my heart rate. I'm not obsessed by it, but I've got one on my wrist that measures my heart rate and stuff. But like practicing yoga and how like what was the theme of the shoot? It was something to do with how wearing these watches, how they track your fitness and your energy and stuff like that while you're practicing yoga, and how it brings awareness to this, that, and the other. And I would have loved to have been there. So again, just listen to your body. That's your main thing. You
No,
know,
I
the
think it's
answers are
just,
in you. You know when you're tired because you feel tired, so rest. And if like somebody else is next to you is still doing a headstand, but you're not up for it, then don't try and compete with them. Just rest. You know, that's the yoga. Holding a headstand for 20 minutes is not yoga. It's a great part of yoga. And trust me, if you look at my Instagram page, you'll see loads of that sort of stuff. But if you're doing 20 minutes there and you're doing 20 minutes here and you start to wobble, come out and rest. That's yoga. That's knowing what your limits are. That's knowing what your body's capable of and being present with your body in the moment. And that gives you so much power because you're
that's what I
aware
didn't
and you know.
understand. I didn't
Yeah.
understand that before I came to it because
Mm,
I call it like Instagram yoga. I thought it was all
yeah.
that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
it's but actually, I found something. I know I got thought. I know I got forced. I mean, this is the Woo Woo Weirdo Club, right? So I got basically led to it, forced into it by spirit guides or the universe or God or myself, my
Hmm.
subconscious self. It's got a massively bad back, and I ended up going to yoga to try to help it, and I came out with an understanding that everything. Well, I already had the understanding that everything's connected, but even
Mm,
more so. And then one of the things that I like, I mean, we've had it. I've had it in your class where we're doing an Ashtanga fusion class, and it's like potentially at the end it's like a headstand. Sometimes you will cue it, and sometimes you won't when you sense the
Mm.
feeling of the room. And I've like, I know once I've gone to you, I'm not feeling it, and I haven't got the energy, I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
And to have that, and that's a beautiful thing because actually I have that confidence to go, I'm not doing this when everybody
yeah,
else is doing it, and you're like,
yeah,
or to realize that I can't do it yet,
yeah.
and that's okay. There's a lot of
Well,
peace in that.
there is a lot of peace in that. And as again, the conversation that come up similar to this is like vulnerability as well, and it's an allowing yourself to be vulnerable, is a powerful thing. It takes strength to
Mm.
actually say, you know what, no, not today. And
No,
even if you've got a headstand practice in the I won't say their name, but they've got a solid headstand practice, but they've had trouble with their neck recently. So they've decided they're more than capable of doing it and they love doing it. But because they've noticed that there's a problem with their neck and other issues, I've seen them be able to stop and say no, whereas normally they wouldn't have thought twice about it, but
that's
they reckon that
tremendous.
they want to, and then they're like, no, I'm taking this time because I'm paying attention to what's right for me, not what I know that I can do. And it's just that just because you know you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something as well. And that's really empowering to be able to make that decision yourself.
So we're in the last minute.
Mm.
I'm sat here thinking how much of the woo-woo has this been, but I actually think it has because I think we're talking about things like pay attention to your body, energy flow, things like that, emotions,
Can I
stuff
just
that
chuck in a little Sankalpa? Sorry, before we cut off, if we're going to cut off.
if we cut
I
off
soft
you,
I soften into the new. I trust what is becoming. Okay, just I soften into the new. I trust what is becoming. Okay. Don't know if that resonates with anybody out there, but it was a little synchronicity I had this week and paying attention, being aware. Just
re-recording in progress. Okay, this is like a coda then. Thanks for Sankalpa. Um, Remind me what it was.
I soften into the new. I trust what is becoming. Um, so I wrote this Nidra a couple of weeks ago for a class that I'm covering on a Monday, and because it's Bank Holiday Monday, May Bank Holiday, it's a Nidra for growth. Obviously, I'm not going to read the whole Nidra, but that was the Sankalpa that I kind of set for it. At the start of the class, I told them to set an intention and choose their own that we would revisit during the Yoga Nidra, because it was Yin and Nidra. And then when I started the Nidra, I realized that I'd already set the Sankalpa for them, and I was like, actually, forget what you wanted. I'm going to instruct you as to what to say, because we're human, we forget stuff. Um, and why this is quite poignant, it's just a nice little synchronicity. So this is written a couple of weeks ago, um, and there was a new woman in class who was a friend of somebody else, and she's had quite a bit of loss in her life in the last few years. Um, and she was just a visit. She was just visiting. She was just a guest. And the friend who brought her was at class again this morning, and it was interesting because I was trying to remember this Sankalpa last night while I was drifting off to bed. I was like, actually, I could do with
Hmm.
listening to that because there's a little bit of a shift going on in my
Hey,
life, sort of thing.
okay, a
And I
good
was
one.
like, oh, what was that Sankalpa? And then I couldn't remember it. And then I'd almost forgotten about it this morning. And then the woman at class brought it up specifically because her friend had asked what it was because she wanted to remember it and take it with her because of the change that's gone on in her life with the loss in her life. And she needed that as a reminder to build her up. So it was just a really nice synchronicity and it all just fit in quite nicely. So I just really wanted to
Hang on a minute. When was this? Because we just went offline, but we've come back on. So
just
when were you doing this? I might not
I
have
did
paid
the class. I did the
attention.
class. I did the class yesterday. It, so Monday, bank holiday Monday.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's when you saw the cat.
Yeah,
Is that
because
what you just said?
just for the benefit of people who weren't party to our brief text messages, well, we
Yeah.
got cut off. You look like you had something to say. Do you want to go back
No,
on?
I thought
Yes.
you were
But
like you looked like your face was going
I
to
was like,
explode. I was like, he's got something to say.
I was like, I think we just went through 40 minutes without swearing, so I'm not going to start now. But I'm going to still keep the warning on the video out of my
Probably
own
wise.
for
Probably
my own
wise.
amusement.
Yeah,
Bad or taboo language, possibly,
possibly.
Usually.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So I'm just going to look over there because I've got a notes app open on somewhere, and oh my God, it's not just the back cat mat.
Okay.
So for the last few days, since probably Friday, until I looked it up and put it together on Tuesday, Monday, so no Sunday, I think maybe. Um, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, let's put it as I kept seeing Phoenix, whatever, Phoenix
Mhm.
night, Phoenix car rentals. It doesn't really matter. It
Yeah.
wasn't that I just don't want to say the businesses because I don't want to,
Hmm.
or the entities or whatever. I just don't want to say it. So like, let's just say Phoenix nights, Phoenix car rental. So I've seen this Phoenix. What? Driving on the M62, a van liveried up with Phoenix right in front of me. And like by this point, it's like, oh, man, what am I supposed to be getting here? Because
Mm.
like now he's right in front of me, and I'm like, if until I pay attention, I'm just
I'm
going to keep
starting to pay
seeing.
attention. Yeah.
So I think when I go home after that journey, I looked up what is the spiritual meaning of seeing a phoenix or the phoenix or phoenix, whatever. So I know this isn't the black cat that I trailed it to you, but while we were just briefly offline, I've realised it. In fact, it was while I was looking for my note about the black cat that this note about the phoenix has come up. So your Sankalpa is I embrace the new.
I soften into the new.
I, soft,
I trust what is becoming.
I soften into the new. I trust what is becoming. So it is essentially about transformation, rebirth, a little bit of surrender, softening into it, acceptance.
Hmm.
Concept and whilst I was being um, hypnotized in QHHT in one of the sessions, at least, the concept of destruction preceding creation kept coming up. The old saying of you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. Sometimes you have to destroy things to be able to create. And actually, when you think about it, destruction pretty much always precedes creation.
Hmm.
And that was coming up. So then when I looked at the spiritual meaning of the phoenix, I got, I'm sure there's many more things, but what came to me was, or what I got was, the phoenix symbolizes rebirth, renewal, and the cyclical nature of night. Representing, so far, so good, right? Representing the idea that from destruction comes new beginnings, it embodies transformation and spiritual awakening, encouraging individuals to embrace change and personal growth. How close is that to Sankalpa?
Hmm.
And then yesterday, the bank holiday Monday, 12:40 p.m. I've just seen a dead black cat by the side of the road. What's going on? What's going on there? So when I look that up, I get um, in a nutshell, seeing a dead black cat symbolizes the need for transformation, renewal, and rebirth, urging surrender of what no longer serves. An
Hmm.
opportunity to confront, represents an opportunity to confront and transform fear, letting go of old patterns and habits that hinder spiritual growth, influence reflection on life, values and desires, etc. Catalyst for change. And you're talking about setting a Sankalpa yesterday, about softening into the new
Soften into the new. Trust what is coming, or
what
becoming. Becoming.
becoming.
Mm. There you
And
go.
it's like comes right, circles right back as we often do to
Mhm.
paying attention, doesn't it? I could have walked past this black cat. Actually, well, there was another couple who were looking at it going, "What's that?" So it drew my attention in.
Your attention was drawn to it.
Mm. So,
Again, other people are in our lives, whether we know them or not, aren't they? So people are
there's
drawn
like,
into our lives for all sorts of purposes,
oh,
even if it is just to point out a cat.
but hang on a minute. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm now squinting and everything and pulling all sorts of faces at you. And I can find the record, well, because in one of my other sessions, exactly, and we haven't talked about this, exactly the point came out about people. Who or what will be important to Stephen in his life going forward? Are there any particular people who are going to be important? And I'm not going to say you because it didn't come out, but you know what I mean.
Rude,
The
rude,
answer was with the people. Hey,
rude.
yeah, I know. Sorry, I know you can handle it though.
It cuts
I know
deep,
you've got
man. It
your
cuts
ego.
deep.
I know you've got your ego under control. The answer that came out. Well, you've been in the process. You've been under, so you know that it's
Mm,
like you're speaking, but you're not speaking. You're saying things that you don't want to say, but they come out anyway, right? It's one of the things you've
yeah,
said in the
yeah,
testimonial you gave me. Thank
yeah.
you. So you can put yourself in this position. You understand that when I'm speaking, it's
Mm,
me, but it's not me. But it is me, but
mhm,
it isn't me. And I
yeah,
can't control it. And it's just I'm allowing them, surrendering them, softening into the new. And like the answer goes, well, with people, it's always difficult because it just always involves ego. And it's
mhm,
not just the ego of the individual, i.e., the Stephen, it's the ego of everybody else
yeah,
and the collective egos
mm,
and all of these other egos. But what we will say is that the people who need to be in his life or your life, anybody's life, will be there and then they won't
yeah,
be there.
mhm,
People will come in and go as required. Something like
yeah,
that, almost verbatim,
mhm,
which you just said,
yeah.
and you
There you
had
go.
no idea, and you didn't say that in
Because
your session.
in Lakesha Alakin, I am another you, you are another me. My consciousness is your consciousness. Yeah,
So it's just like, there we go. I was
there you
thinking,
go.
is this episode woo-woo enough? Well, there you go. There's your woo.
Well, there you go. It's pretty deep, man. It's pretty deep.
Yeah. And then another time we're gonna have to talk about wizards can't be lawyers.
But
And
here
here,
you are.
and yeah, here we are.
Here we are.
Um,
Yeah,
uh,
nice
and
one. All right.
yeah. So thanks for coming back on, and I'll
No
mash that
worries.
all together.
Good stuff.
Have a nice
Adios.
day.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a nice day. Have a nice night. See you soon.
Ciao. Bye.